Well, if you saw where I was telling you to never calculate standard deviation by hand again, I kind of lied. So I won't be doing this on your test, but we will be doing this on your quiz when we do the quiz that includes standard deviation. So the good news is, first of all, you can use the Staplet. All right, so for most of the time. But what I just want you to do during your quiz is to demonstrate that you know, and let me go ahead. Looks like my square root got messed up there. There we go. My square root got messed up there. And it's a little cami thing that's going on every once in a while. All right, so let me go ahead and put this back in. What we do is, first of all, just enter the data. So we have listed below are the top 5 men's track times for the 55-meter dash and the U.S. track and field meet in 2023. By the way, those are real times. And so I went ahead and put the data in Staplet, and it'll actually tell you the minimum and the maximum. It won't tell you the range. So you have to calculate that by subtracting 9.16 minus 7.88. Then from the Staplet, you can go ahead and get the mean. It's 8.448. And it's usually better to include many decimal places instead of fewer. Every once in a while, when we specify a decimal place, it could penalize you if you put too many. All right, the median is the middle value, but you could also pull it from the Staplet. You can see that it matches right there. Same thing over here. This is top 5 women's track times, all right? And they're actually pretty darn good, aren't they? Actually, is the woman faster than the guy in this one? Yeah, wow. Okay, so here's the minimum and the maximum. And then you have the range. And then from the Staplet, you can get the mean. And you can get the median either by looking up here or pulling it from right there. Now, this is the part, we're going to do this today and on your quiz, and then you'll never have to do it by hand again, all right? So what we're doing is we are subtract, and I usually have hopefully in your, see how I have a filled out lines as an example? So, hey, you could have looked up 8.45, and that tells you the mean. So if I have a filled out line like that, which I do, in fact, I think most of the lines should be filled out. You just need to fill out a box or two for your quiz. So we take the individual data point. First data point is 7.88. We subtract that mean. We get negative 0.57 or negative 0.568. Square it, and then these are all, I did the same thing there. So 9.16 minus 8.45 is that. Square it, and you get that. Make sure all your squares are positive. When you square any number that's real, it should be positive. All right. Then you take the sum of your squares by adding these numbers up. Divide by how many data points there are, minus 1. So let me make a little note here. Divide by n minus 1. Yeah. Why do we do that? Because we don't have all the distributions. These are really just samples. All right. So divide by n minus 1. What is n here? Well, you can see it actually says on the Staplet, n is 5. All right. So in this case, let me go ahead and say, in this case, divide by 4, right? Because n is 5. All right. Divide by 4. All right. So we're dividing by 4 here. And actually, I'll just say 5 minus 1 is 4. You're probably going, I know that. But since I already have the 4, 1 is 4. And so that tells you where the 4 is coming from in the denominator there. So that'll be a nice little extra note. Remember, when you take quizzes, you can use your packet. So if you have this written down and filled in, this will be a big help for your quiz, okay? So then we have our, take the square root of that, and let me draw the square root, because sometimes these square roots have a habit of doing weird things in Staplet. All right, let's see if I can fix that. Move my square root up just a little bit. There we go. So there we go. Boom. All right. And then the same thing over here. It's your data point minus your mean. Here the mean is 9.238. So we're subtracting 9.24, squaring it and filling in the table, adding them all up, and then dividing by n minus 1. So let me go ahead and copy that there just so you know. It's the same number of data points for both sides. There we go. So that's why we're dividing by 4 there, and then take the square root, and that's it. So hope that was pretty easy, and we'll go over it when we quiz.